Hey, Introvert fam. Before we start this week's episode, we have a very special announcement. The Stay Introverted Podcast has partnered with Tavern Community Co-working to co-host the inaugural Podcasters of NYC co-working event on Monday, January 29th, 2024 at Mochi Dosi. This awesome spot is conveniently located right off the 1 train at 79th Street in New York City. So if you're in the New York area, come on down.
We cannot wait to have you. So whether you're an established podcast, you're considering starting one, you're looking for guests for your show, or maybe you're even just interested in podcast swaps, we would absolutely love to connect with fellow podcast enthusiasts and hosts in New York City. So come on down to the Upper West Side, and we are so excited to meet you.
We definitely are. Tickets are just $10, and drinks and lunch are available for purchase. Like Steph said, we can't wait to meet you in person and explore new connections and collaborations.
So the link is going to be available in our Instagram and Threads and Facebook and all the bios, and it'll also be available in the description notes on this episode. So Grab your ticket, and we cannot wait to see you there.
See you there, fam. Welcome back to the Stay Introverted Podcast. I am your co-host, Jay Coleman.
And I am your other co-host, Steph Laffey.
And as always, we welcome you and thank you for joining us on this wonderful podcasting ride with two introverts with something to say.
Well, I guess today you could say that we kind of have three introverts with something to say, because
that
we have
is
a very special... Oh, sorry.
That's what we do. We talk over each other. It's all right. That's what we do. There are no rules here. But just
maybe we should make rules. We might start needing them.
Maybe, but we probably break them right after we make them. So
we probably forget them.
That's probably the most likely thing that would happen is we'll make a rule and we'll forget that we actually made the rule. But we are actually going on a tangent because that's also what we do, tangents. So let me allow us to get back on track and let the viewing public know that we actually have a very special guest, our very first guest, the awesome Miss Steph Taylor. I'm going to clap because we don't have a clapping.
We have to get one of those.
Yes, we have to get that clapping audio that people have on radio stations. I'm going to invest in that.
Yeah, we should. You know, that's another investment that we're going to need to make. But why don't we shut up for a second and let Steph introduce herself really quickly. Uh-oh.
Really? I get to talk?
Go for it, girl.
Okay, well, my name is Steph Taylor, not to be confused with Steph Laffey. We are the two Stephs. I am from Canada, and I am definitely a self-proclaimed introvert that has found some extrovertedness in her by finding my voice. So I think that's something that we're going to be talking about more today.
Awesome.
Hopefully we get to it. with our track record at this point, I'm a little nervous that we might not get there. I'm just kidding, guys. We'll try to stay on track.
We're also going to try, or rather, I'm going to try to not confuse people when I ask Steph a question. So this will be fun. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how many times I ask Steph a question and both Stephs answer.
It kind of feels like one of those dumb jokes, like two Stephs walk into a podcast.
I know. I was thinking the same thing. See, we just have the same brain, so it won't really matter who answers.
Yes.
I don't think our voices are that similar, are they?
No.
How many steps does it take to answer a question? Both of them.
At least two.
At least two.
At least two.
So, Steph Taylor, aka Canadian Steph, which I'm not a fan of, but we'll use it. Canadian Steph. When did you realize that you were an introvert?
Oh my gosh. Definitely elementary. I have this memory that I keep going back to that was quite traumatizing. It was grade 3, and the teacher was giving instructions to the class of a worksheet we had to do. And she called out step 1 as she was reading it. And I started crying because I thought that she was calling on me as she was saying Stephanie instead of step. And that has stuck with me my entire life, where I have just been sort of the wallflower, don't want attention drawn on me, just keep kind of close to the chest. And if there's eyes on me, which obviously I started crying, everybody's eyes were on me after that. It's like, no, we're not going there. So that was probably the first time where I kind of had that realization of, no, I don't like attention. And I've gone back to that specific event, traumatic event, a lot through my growth and adult years, realizing where my introvertedness comes from, I guess.
Isn't it, I don't know if ironic is the word, but it's like we sometimes get in our own head, or we have, I guess, an anxiety or a panic attack because we don't want the attention, but that kind of overthinking or panic attack actually draws attention to ourselves, and it kind of puts us on this cycle of just not a very good feeling. Have you ever experienced that?
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly. It's just And it's like,
Right,
how do you break the cycle?
Away.
Yes. The more it's like quicksand. The more you fight, the more it just kind of push you down. Just
And then the more you get in your head, and then the more people look at you, the more you get in your head. It's like it's the worst.
Yes, the more you get in your head, totally. I was in my head in that moment completely.
Absolutely. I'm laughing as you said that because I thought, number one, I was the Steph that couldn't hear. Apparently you got that problem too. But the number of times that I have had a similar situation is like too many to count. Like there's so many things that rhyme with Steph or like sound like Steph. And that kind of made me think, like, this is kind of going off on one of our tangents again, but have you ever been to like Starbucks or like somewhere where they write the name on your cup and like you're not really sure if they're calling your name, like they maybe they write it down wrong. They write Daphne or Bethany or Beth or whatever, and you're like, where's my damn coffee?
Yeah, there's definitely, it's almost like you want to be in control because you don't want to be exposed. And when there's situations like that where you're not sure, that uncertainty, you're like, no, freak out moment. It's again, that self-fulfilling prophecy. You don't know what's going to happen. So you freak out, which then draws attention to you. And you're like, no, I need to be prepared if the attention's going to be on me so I can control it and feel safe.
That's a very good point. And that's something that I actually think about a lot, in the sense that are introverts kind of control freaks in that sense, or is it just that kind of thing that we don't like feeling that we're not in control? In other words, like you, if I'm going to commit, I guess, to a social gathering or some sort of social setting, I need to know where all the doors are, where all the exits are, how many people are going to be there, how long I have to be here, do I have to talk, do I got to, bring anything as far as conversation to the table, and if I can't guarantee that I can control all those elements, I'm probably not going to go. And I just want to know if either Steph has ever kind of encountered that or felt that.
I think it's definitely a yes, because you feel exposed otherwise. It's a way you want to control the situation so that you feel safe, especially, and Steph and I have talked about this numerous times, when you're with people that you don't feel comfortable with. So what I have found or learned later on in life, and that's part of how I found my voice and my comfort in speaking, and feeling safe to speak is when you're with the right people, you feel seen, heard, and understood, and you are okay with letting go of that control. You don't feel like you need that control. And so you're more extroverted, you're more comfortable, you're more confident in yourself. And I think the three of us here today we're just meeting each other. Well, Steph and I have known each other, but Jay and I are just meeting each other. And it's been totally cool because we have sort of a like-mindedness and an understanding of introvertedness, and we can find a common ground with that. So I think the control is just in situations where you don't know the people, or you know the people enough to know that you don't feel safe with them because they're too big and they don't understand.
And that's so a very
true.
Yeah, go ahead, Steph. No, please.
No, I was just gonna ask, like, I'm wondering if like part of the reason that the two of you are both feeling safe right now is because you both have me in common.
Oh, that's probably true too.
I would say yes. Yes. We have Steph L in common.
Yeah, you like triaged.
Right, and like
you are the bridge that connects us.
I just feel like how many times have I been at social events where it's like a friend of a friend and I'm like in my head the whole time, like getting ready to go, or even like a work event, and like I'm like, oh, these people are not gonna like me, but then I get there and they're like, oh my god, so and so told me so much about you, like you're just like they make me feel safe by acknowledging that we have someone in person, and then all of a sudden I can let down my walls. But like leading up to that, I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna die, they're all gonna hate me, they're gonna think I'm weird, and then this person's not gonna want me to hang out anymore, and like I get so crazy. So I think that idea of like having somebody in common definitely helps, but it also, did either of you come into this with any like, oh, like what if the other person, like what if I don't measure up?
No.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
very different answers, right? So, no. I think to your point, Steph L. It's gonna be fun. This entire episode.
That should be like the episode title.
Which Steph is it? I don't know.
Which Steph is it? Yeah.
What the Steph? I don't know.
I love that. There we go.
I think that's the title. What the Steph? But I digress on a tangent as we do. No, I don't really have any sort of expectations of trying to measure up to anybody. I think, to your point, I'm very. It's kind of twofold. You know, in general, I'm very comfortable around introverts or people that I know are introverted, because you're right. There is sort of that connection or that sort of kinship, in my opinion, where there's at least one thing that we do have in common. And it's not to say that all introverts are the same, but we do kind of share that one thing. So we kind of know to a degree how we operate and how we are. So there's no real expectations of, okay, I got to make small talk or I have to talk for 5 hours or whatever. We know that we're interested in actually getting to know somebody on a deeper level.
Yes.
But at the same time, when that battery hits empty, we got to go. So,
That's so true.
Yeah. So I just think there's that understanding there. And again, it varies because I don't think any two introverts are the same. Some are more extroverted than others. Some talk more than others. But there's always that underlying sort of kinship. The other thing, I think all three of us are a lot more comfortable in accepting in the fact that we are introverts. We're kind of at the point where we're not apologizing for who we are. We're not hiding who we are, and if people don't like it or can't get with it, F them. We're going to be who we are. So I think when you have three people or have any number of people who are like that and they get together, again, there's no real expectation of trying to meet up or measure up to anybody. That's kind of my opinion. Steph from up north.
From up north, yeah. That's me.
Steph of the north.
Steph of the north, yeah. Steph A. That's what it should have been. Steph A.
Steph A. It was right there.
Oh, there we go.
Right there.
Right there.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think it was more in the sense of, like, Steph had told me a lot about you, Jay, and just working on podcasts and stuff like that. So it was more like, oh, geez, you know, I've been on a bunch of podcasts, but this is somebody that really seems to know what they're doing. And so it was more like that versus, I guess, not having anything in common. Like that was more my, okay, how, like, what are we going to talk about? What's going to happen? More of that I was like, oh, maybe I might not measure up.
That's
but
so interesting.
I also know that embracing my introvertedness, and like you talked about, Jay, where it's, you know, small talk is not our thing. We want to go deep with people, and we'll go deep until our energy is done and we, you know, head for the hills, and people just need to accept that. That I'm totally cool with. And I love that you said that. So I knew that coming into be on a podcast for introverts, that I would have people that understood me. So instead of feeling really mousy, I can actually step into myself and be the person who I am around people that I resonate with. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of introvertedness too, is when we get around new people, we are mousy because we don't know who we can be ourselves with. And it's really, we don't like that small talk. So it's really awkward. We want to go to the deep stuff. And once we get to the deep stuff, it's like, you know who your people are, and then you can just be yourself.
Yeah. And that's the thing a lot of non-introverts don't understand. Like, we'll talk your ear off if you give us half a chance to get us on the right topic.
Yeah.
You know, we will definitely talk for hours. We'll, like I said, we'll talk your ear off if we're comfortable enough with you, and we know that it's not just filler.
Yes.
I don't care about the weather. I don't care. I say it all the time. I don't care about little Timmy's dog or his recital. I don't care. Nothing against little Timmy. You know, I'm sure he's a nice young fellow. Just don't care about what he has going on.
Yeah. I want the deep stuff, the stuff that you're passionate about, the things that I'm passionate about. If you're passionate about them, let's go. Let's talk about it all night long. Yes. And I think that's really where the introverts do become extroverts. Because when you are in a group of people, or even one person, 20 people that are passionate about the same things you are, you then start to shine. And so
you light up.
You light up. So I think it's more that the difference between extrovert and introvert, introverts can be extroverted when we're around the right people. It's just we have a harder time finding those people because we're mousy in the beginning with the whole small talk situation. But as soon as you find somebody else that, whether it's through a person, like you were talking about, Steph, where you know that you're in a situation that it's like you have a common friend and it's like, oh, well, I know that person and I really resonate with that person. And if they're saying you're a really awesome person, then I know already we don't have to deal with the chit chat. I already know that I can get into it with you. So let's go. So it's like you've gone over that hurdle already.
That's so true. Because like I was in Florida over the weekend and like I didn't know anybody except for one person there. And like definitely the first couple minutes you were like kind of like trying to figure each other out and like learn who we were. But like once we got through the small talk, I was like all in, like part of every conversation, like just like all about it. But I think like you guys are saying, like once you get past that that small talk that's just like boring and like who cares, it's like, all right, now we can get to the good stuff. Like, this is why I'm here. Now I can show up, I can let down my walls, I can be who I am, and like let's just go all in. So I definitely hear you there.
So let me ask a quick question. Steph in the city. There we go.
I wasn't expecting that.
I like that.
Hey, I'm gonna get through this episode. I'm telling you, I'm gonna have a different name for each of you by the time we're done.
Steph in the city.
So we got Steph with the north, Steph in the city.
Steph in the city, Steph in the country.
There you go. You know, Steph in the name of love could be either one of you, but well, you know. Steph in the city. So you're kind of in a unique situation because you know you are actually very good at networking. You actually enjoy more than I do, at least. So how do you get through that networking, knowing or just having that understanding of not really being a fan of small talk? Because to a degree, networking is small talk.
Not if you don't want it to be. I have gotten really good. I was just actually journaling about this the other day. I have gotten really good at making people laugh within the first like 5 to 10 minutes. And once you can make somebody laugh, like you are like gold, because now you have their attention and you can kind of continue down like that tangent or that rabbit hole of like, okay, now I know what this person thinks is funny. If I can like kind of continue the joke in some way, or we can kind of like just continue down that rabbit hole of that particular conversation, I know I can keep banging out those like jokes and like just random comments and keep them laughing. And pretty quickly, we're in territory where I thrive, which is deep conversation. That took a long time to master. And the reason that I was able to learn that was because in college, I had to go to career fairs and interviews, and I was at all these parties, like frat parties and stuff. And I was so unbelievably uncomfortable that the only way that I could think of to ease my discomfort was the only thing that I know to ease my discomfort, which is to laugh. So I would like make jokes in my head about what I was observing in the room, and I would start giggling. And like literally, like I'd be at like a random networking event or at a party, and I'd just be laughing, and it would get people's attention because I'm like this like dorky, cute little girl like giggling, and somebody would ask, "Oh, what are you laughing about?" So I would start blurting out whatever made me laugh, and I realized like, oh shit, people think I'm funny. And so over time, I started leaning into that. I started using that in interviews to ease up the tension. And it really worked. It got me through college. It got me through interviews. It got me through networking events. And it got me in rooms, and it got me to make friends with people that I previously thought were like way too cool to want to hang out with me. And so I did this over and over. I stretched this muscle and realized like, if I can use humor, I can get through that awkward shit real fast.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that. You immediately put people into their comfort zone because that humor breaks down boundaries, not only for yourself, but for the other person too. That's awesome.
Right. And I discovered it completely by accident just because I was like, I'm either going to throw up or laugh, so I might as well just go with laughing.
Yes. Well, we're glad that you just laugh, not the other, not the other outcome.
And then I made it really easy for myself by like not getting rid of, but like marrying out of my old last name and into my new one, which is Laffey. So
Makes sense.
The universe.
Right? I used to be, I don't know if I ever told you this, guy. Steph Taylor might know my old last name is Yellen. So I used to be like crying and yelling. And
Now you're laughing. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I love that.
From yelling to Laffey. Awesome. I love it.
Oh yeah, that was our wedding hashtag. Well, it was laughing together while yelling I do.
Oh my god.
I love it.
Too much time during COVID to come up with that.
Oh my goodness. So we've talked about introverts becoming more extroverted, as they get comfortable or feel safer around people that they're with. So a question that I have for both steps is, have you ever gotten to the point where people don't believe that you're actually introverted?
Oh yeah. Both of
We
us.
talk
Yeah.
about this all the time. Yeah.
Yes. Either Steph can give me an example.
Yeah, you go first, Steph, and then I'll go.
Okay.
I just talked for like too long. I need to breathe.
Gotta recharge.
Definitely. Especially the more that I have stepped into my own personal trust and awareness of myself, because I think as introverts too, we are shy about ourselves. We aren't confident about ourselves. We sort of second guess. And the more I stepped into approving of who I was, even being shy, as that's one of my qualities, is like I'm not very forthcoming all the time, that made me more confident in, I don't care what you think. I am going to just dive deeply into, I'm going to forgo the weather and we're just going to start talking about whatever's going on in the deep world, like passion, whatever. That, and also building a business online, showing up and doing video, showing up and doing podcasts, teaching in front of thousands of people. A lot of people know me now and they don't believe that I was or that I am an introvert because they know a more confident version of me versus who I was in high school or university, let alone that little grade 3-er.
Yeah, I get accused all the time of not really being an introvert. I'm like, you guys are you forgetting like the 2 years ago, every time I got a phone call, I would hide in like another room because I didn't want anybody to hear the sound of my voice. Like, this is like this new confident like stuff that has a podcast and like shows up online. Like, this is like one like tip of the iceberg of my entire life. Like, and I think what people don't realize about introversion, I think a lot of people don't understand what introversion actually is. Like, I think they immediately think like, oh, like introverts are shy or introverts are awkward. I am awkward, so like you're what? I think they think they're quiet, and now that I'm very loud, like I think people just forget like who I've been in the past. And it's like, I feel like people have just very short-term memories. And so they lose after a while track of the fact that like you've grown and you've evolved and you've stepped into this new version of yourself. But like the old version of you still very much exists and still very much exists within you. So I imagine there's going to be periods in my life in the future where maybe I go back inward and become a little bit more introverted. But at this current point in my life, I definitely get accused of not being an introvert.
Yeah, because
I assure you I am.
You've surrounded yourself with things and people that support you in your true self.
Mm-hmm.
And so you are more comfortable in letting yourself out. So it looks like you're more extroverted, but you're not really. Puts you in a completely different situation where you're not necessarily surrounded by anybody. you're probably still going to have some of those typical qualities come out until you use the skills that you have developed and tapped into the confidence that you know that you have about yourself, the screw everybody else, and then your extroversion will come out again. But it is definitely a muscle and a skill that we learn to cope with those extroverted people.
Right. And I don't even think that like it's like I'm trying to hide my introversion. Like I think my introversion is the best part of me. Like I love it. And like that, I mean, that's why we called it the Stay Introverted Podcast, because it's like I don't necessarily want to be an extrovert. I just think that like I come alive around certain people and I shut down around others. I come alive in certain situations. And like when I'm bored or not interested or just really tired, like there's nothing and nobody that can get me to talk or like do what they want me to do.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yep. And I think Steph, in the city, you bring up a very good point about people not really understanding what introversion actually is. I think people tend to just fall onto your stereotypes. You know, introverts are shy, introverts are antisocial, introverts are just all anxious, introverts are mean, we're mute, we don't know, we're hermits. It's just you know, all these negative stereotypes. So when they see someone who isn't introverted not displaying any of these stereotypes, it throws them off, and rather than take the opportunity to say, hey, well, maybe these qualities that this person is exhibiting aren't limited to extroverts. It's, well, you're just not an introvert. And I've definitely been, I'll say not accused, but Steph in the city and I have talked about this. I was at my previous job. I let my coworkers know that I'm actually an introvert because I told them as I was leaving the job that I had started my own business, creating introvert inspired apparel. So they didn't believe that I was an introvert because they pointed out all of the trainings and the lectures and how I'm always joking and laughing and talking to them. And I had to tell them that's work, Jay. Okay, that's work. Jay is happy-go-lucky and always quick with a joke, quick-witted. Doesn't take himself seriously. Is always down to help somebody. Always down to educate somebody on any sort of policy and rule in place. Always, eager and self-motivated and takes the initiative to do whatever. Real Jay is going to go home after this little shindig and sleep for about 5 to 10 days because he's tired, because of all of the energy he expended talking and joking and being quick-witted and teaching everybody. So I had to give them a very kind of quick primer on what introversion actually was. And it's funny because these are people that I had literally worked with for 5, 6, 7 years, and they didn't know. They had a preconceived idea of what introversion was, and apparently I wasn't it. So it's always interesting having those conversations. But it also shows me, kind of shows us just kind of how far we have to go as far as understanding or truly understanding what introversion actually is.
Yeah, and I think there's like something to be said about like, I think a lot of people don't realize like it all comes down to energy and attention and interest. Like, is the introvert at hand, whether it's me, Steph, or you, Jay, is the introvert at hand interested, and like have they learned how to manage their energy in such a way that if they go to the office for 8 hours that day, they can engage and be involved in the conversation. It really comes down to like, I guess the effort and the ability of me or you to show up and be able to hang in the situation. Like in the past, I didn't know how to manage my energy. So I would show up at work like, like ready to go. And then by the end of the day, I didn't know why I couldn't keep my eyes open. But now I have strategies to like kind of recharge throughout the day. I'm very aware. And so people don't see me like just falling apart really quickly after lunch. Well, sometimes they do. At the end of the day, on the third day of going in, they definitely do. Nothing I can do about that. But like it's because I know how to manage my energy throughout the day and take breaks and go for a walk and go sit in the bathroom for 10 minutes to like take deep breaths. They don't see me like falling apart at my desk, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they don't see you doing the solitary activities that you require to bring your energy back.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't see the recharge.
Yeah.
They don't see the recharge, right. Before they did, and that's why I seemed extra introverted, whereas now, like, I hide it.
Yeah, we're very good. We've learned as you grow older, you learn the techniques that you require in order to survive in the extroverted world. Right. Because as much as we would kind of love to just sit at home and read and like go for walks and whatever, you do still have to interact. And we do want interaction. We do definitely come alive with certain people talking about certain things, but you need that recharge because our batteries don't last.
Right.
As I say, we shine brightly, but not for long.
Yes, that we will come out with that energy, no problem.
Yeah. Which is actually one of my designs. Shameless plug. Check it out. Why
don't I have that one?
Why don't you have that one?
Why don't I have all of them? I don't know.
Support your local introvert, Steph. But I digress. SincerelyAnIntrovert.com. Check it out. Anyway.
Wow, you're ready with that.
I'm ready with it. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Okay.
That's another introverted tip.
It's not a J-ism, but it is a tip.
I love
but
it.
Steph from up yonder. You bring up a very interesting point because as much as we're being facetious a little bit, but the things that we do to recharge or reset really are survival techniques. Like they are things that we have to do, and not a lot of people who aren't introverts understand that. Like if we don't do these things, whatever our process is, if we don't go through that process, we can't function. Like we shut down, and it becomes a thing because then people have questions, and we have to answer these questions, and which takes more energy, which causes us to shut down even more. And then we have people's perceptions to think about. So it really is a matter of it's not life and death, but it is a survival technique.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. But it is serious in that it's not a good feeling. It's not a fun feeling. It does, I think, in very extreme cases, causes us to have anxiety attacks or causes us to have panic attacks because we're freaking out on the inside and we may freak out on the outside, and people may think something's wrong with us when really all we need is for y'all to go away and let us recharge in peace and quiet. And depending on where you are in your journey as an introvert, you may or may not be able to articulate that. And that's a real thing.
Yeah, it absolutely is a real thing. And I think you create trauma responses. So when you start to look into your own behaviors and everything, in order to survive, if you don't have that ability, awareness, or people don't let you recharge in the way that you need to, you then are continuing to do your best to cope in a world situation environment that you're currently in, which can be to your detriment, which, I mean, I've had to go through all of that in my life personally. Yeah, a lot of people aren't aware what it takes for you to recharge, and the fact that being around people can be energizing but also depleting. It's a really interesting mix, and I think oftentimes too it's energizing and then gets depleting depending on how long it's been, or the people, or the conversation.
Right,
Yeah,
it's like energizing depending on how you feel.
Yes.
Like, it's not about the energy in the room. It's like, how do I feel? If I'm not energized, I don't care if it's a raging party. Like, if I want to sleep right now, that's what I need to do.
Yep, that's what I need to do. And I can't be here meeting your needs or, performing for you or whatever when I don't have the capacity right now.
Right. You said something really interesting there. Like, I'm curious if, I know that you said that you're a people pleaser in the past, or you've been a people pleaser. And so I'm kind of curious, have you ever found yourself like pretending to be extroverted when or like pretending like I'm all in, I'm here, I'm ready to go, but like really like you just like want to be at home, like snuggling or sleeping or just doing nothing, and like you felt like the people around you wanted you to fake it?
Yes. Short answer. Absolutely. I mean, really, haven't all of us done that? You're in a situation.
What did Jay think?
Yeah, I've tried to pretend to be more extroverted, and that lasted about 5 minutes.
You tried that once or multiple times?
I've probably, let's see, tried it once in the 80s, once in once in the 90s, a couple times in the early 2000s, and then I was good. I got the hint. It's not me.
I was gonna say, you don't strike me as the type that like would have like ever like, you're just like, nope, I'm an introvert. The
thing is, like, I always knew that I wasn't like outgoing, or I wasn't very demonstrative, I guess I should say.
Right.
Never been loud. I'm very soft spoken, so I knew those things about me. But like Steph from up north says, where you're in a world that prioritizes and rewards these more extra, or what people claim are more extroverted behaviors. So if you don't exhibit those, it's always, well, what's wrong with you? Why are you like this? And when you're 4, 5, 6 years old, you can't articulate how you're feeling, or what this is. And even if you could, you're not at an age where adults typically listen to the opinions of children, depending on how you're raised. So you're like stuck. Do I be myself, or do I try to fit in? If I try to fit in, now you're dealing with all these internal feelings of, wow, I feel like I'm being fake. And if I know I'm being fake, they know I'm being fake, and now you're anxious about that, and it's just,
and now you really don't fit in.
I really don't fit in.
You're describing me as a child up until like the age of 26. So yeah.
But yeah, and depending on how you're able to cope with that, because again, like, I agree, it creates trauma. Trauma, it's a real thing. So depending on how you're able to cope with that, either you just become more withdrawn, more detached, I guess, or you get to a point where you're like, F it, like, this is just who I am, and I'll kind of try to deal with it the way I deal with it. And if people don't like it, they can go wherever. I guess I'm fortunate that I didn't withdraw as much as other people. I just got to a point where I'm like, I don't care. This is how I am.
It's so
I'm
freeing.
also it is freeing. And speaking of freeing, I don't know why we're being so polite because we cuss on the show, so I don't know why. Like it's like 43 minutes and we haven't said one goddamn curse yet. So it's
What's that, guys? You didn't tell me that.
We cuss a lot on the
Wait,
show.
are the kids around?
No.
Okay, so fuck. There we go.
God damn it, Steph.
Yes, we cuss on this goddamn show. So I appreciate the politeness, but say what's on your mind, folks.
I don't know if I've been polite. I just, for some reason, I haven't felt called to curse. But now that you say it, I'll probably be cursing like a sailor.
Oh, it's our first guest, so we're trying to,
We're trying to be nice.
One time I held myself back. I will say that. I did hold. You never know.
Yeah.
We don't want to hit it with the full Jay and Steph experience,
Steph has a lot of fuckity fuck.
Oh my God. It's so true. It's so true. Sometimes there's a duck in there.
Yeah, I feel like at least once in every one of our voice notes, like one of us drops an F-bomb. So
Completely.
Yes.
not
We have to
today.
be consistent, for our fans. It's all about them.
Right, exactly.
We curse for you guys. Always remember that.
We do it for you.
Do it for you.
I just totally lost. Where were we?
I don't know. We go on tangents like every 2 minutes. That's just how we are.
That we've been pretty consistent about that part. That's for sure.
Well, that's the fun part, because
That is the fun part.
yeah, because we don't really prep for these episodes. We kind of just see where we're going, and we kind of use the force because that's fun. But I will bring us back because I have a question.
Yeah.
Thank
God, because I was lost out at sea. I was
it's
like,
all right. It's
gone.
all right. I'm always there to pull you back in. Don't worry about it. So, Steph from the Great Beyond.
On the Great Beyond now.
From the Great Beyond. It's also interesting that the Steph that I'm talking to knows who I'm talking to. So that's awesome. That's awesome. So Steph from the Great Beyond, aka Canada. You mentioned that you're an entrepreneur, as Steph, not from the Great Beyond, and myself are. So it's questions kind of twofold. One, tell us about your business. We another point of this podcast is really to not just highlight introverts but also highlight entrepreneurs. So we really want to give entrepreneurs a platform to tell the world about their business and their journey in entrepreneurship. So this is kind of your
introverted one.
Yes.
And I'm not going to say the E word because I can't pronounce it. And everyone's telling me.
Fair enough.
You're hilarious.
Fair enough. So please tell the world about your business and how you came to get, how you became the owner of your business, for lack of a better phrase.
My business is basically how I found my voice, actually. How there was a lot in my life that led up to me finding more confidence in myself. And that was through learning skills, but not just the skills that most people think, I don't know, like talking to other people's skills, but skills in old-fashioned skills, like growing your own food, preserving it, making your own products like soaps and lotions, cooking from scratch, natural remedies. Like I really, in finding myself, went back to the basics, back to the solo activities, but also that you did with a community that you really enjoyed. I went back to that, and I started teaching people those skills, people that were black sheeps like me that didn't really fit in with society. I had a different mindset on, I want to slow things down. I want to have a more simple life. I don't want to be trying to keep up with the Joneses all the time. I don't want to be in this extroverted world. I want to live more simply. I want to have strong, deep relationships with my kids and with people in my community. I want to create more of that community network. So I started a business teaching women these skills, bringing them back into themselves, because so many of us are grounded in working with our hands and working with nature. What do us introverts do? We go for a walk by ourselves. We just feel better. So getting our hands into the soil. I started teaching those skills to give women more confidence in their own abilities and no longer having them feel like the black sheep because they wanted a simple life where they didn't fit in with society. So that's how I found my own voice. And that's what I now give other women, is going back to the basics and teaching them the basic skills.
Nice. And what is the name of your business? Where can folks find you?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram. It is spruce.acres.homestead. And if you come and follow me, reach out and say hi. Okay. Because clearly you are another
Don't be
introvert.
introverted.
Yes. Don't be introverted. Be introverted by introducing yourself to another. Because I won't always reach out to you. So come say hi to me. We clearly are like-minded. So come hang.
Also, so the second part of my question you kind of answered it, but how is being an entrepreneur, running your own business as an introvert? How do you find that?
Oh, that's a really good question. It can be very tricky because I feel sometimes like I'm in two different worlds, where I love teaching in my program because those are my people. And so I'm really extroverted there. I find that online, I know that there are my people, but then there are people that aren't my people. And sometimes I can get wrapped up in my head of, can I be authentically me? And then what do? I feel overwhelmed. And so I want to retreat and recover. And meanwhile, my energy actually hasn't shown up online. It's just like this inner turmoil. So I do struggle with that as an introverted entrepreneur, but I also have really found myself and found my voice and found more confidence through my business and expanding my skills, like Steph was talking about, networking, and really finding your people quickly. So it's been a really interesting journey being an introverted entrepreneur online.
Yes, I agree with that 1,000%. It's particularly about the more you do it, the more comfortable I guess you get in kind of doing the day-to-day. You definitely get better at finding your own voice, but it is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. I always say that kind of the one thing that I really have to do as an introverted entrepreneur is the one thing I personally hate in my personal life, which is draw as much attention to myself as I possibly can, because you need as many eyes on your business as possible, which means it is hard.
There's that like mental struggle of when you were a kid and you totally want those eyes on you, but then that like inner trauma comes up and you're just struggling between the two of, I am confident in my introvertedness, but look at me.
Yeah, it's hard. I'm still trying to figure out how to deal with it. Like, Steph she's talked more about my following on Instagram than I have.
You were definitely so annoyed at me in that meeting yesterday. I was like, Jay has a big following.
I was like, can you please stop telling people how many followers I have? That shit is scary.
I'm like, I'm trying to make us look good, okay?
Like,
we're like trying to get funding and stuff. So
yeah, it's like on the other hand, that's what I need. Like, I need 50,000. I need 200,000. I need however many I can get, so that I have more eyes on my business. But it's just, it's
don't
hard.
look at me though.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you know, I'm happy you're here, but yeah, don't look that way. Don't.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I don't do video anymore, because I was like, I look like plastic and weird when I'm on video, and I know you guys are like, no, you don't. But like that's how I feel, and so I can't be like authentically myself. Like when I know that a bunch of eyeballs are like looking at me, judging me, like staring at me, like I'm so in my head the entire time. So I've just kind of slashed any part of my business where I have to show up and feel like I'm being like looked at in a way that I don't want to be looked at. And I only focus on the areas where I can like show up and like thrive and like not get in my head.
I love that. I love that. And I've loved watching your journey through that. Like, remember when you used to do Instagram lives? And you're
Are you trying to give me a heart attack on air?
Yeah, but that's how you and I met, so it's okay.
It is. That's how Jay and I met too.
Oh yeah?
Mm-hmm.
See, it worked out.
Yeah, and I love the community aspect and the conversation aspect, which ironically as an introvert, like that's what I crave, is deep conversation. With people who just like get it. So it worked out, and it was worth like facing that fear. But like the anxiety that I had, like every time that like I posted a video or a reel, or like I was just like, people can see my face.
Yeah, I mean, like I've gotten a little bit more comfortable being on camera. You know, I've gotten to the point where like reels where I'm kind of like lip syncing or kind of just reacting to the audio. I'm pretty comfortable with. I don't care how people react or take it, but reels that feature me talking in my own voice scare the hell out of me.
Interesting. Now you're on a podcast.
And now I'm on a podcast, and now I'm doing IG lives every week, but I still haven't done as many original audio, I guess, IG reels as I would like to, and I have ideas, but I don't know, something about it.
Somebody else.
It may be, but the ones that I've done perform as well or better than the other one. So it's like it's something that I know I have to do, because there's people they like originality, they like authenticity, and I think if you can come across as authentic, particularly as an introvert, I think that hits.
You deserve a freaking gold medal.
I mean,
you can do that.
I just figured out like the one thing that I know I'm awesome at, the one thing that I'm going to get right every time is my story. You know, no one tells my story how I tell my story. So I know that that's something that I can fall back on, and that's something that actually gives me the confidence to ultimately make content and kind of put myself out there. And it's
that.
Yeah, and it's been humbling, because I've learned that so many people in my community, in our community, have similar stories, and they were looking for someone to tell that story, in a humorous way, of course.
Right, I'm like laughing when they're like, oh, you said this and it was so funny. I'm like, I cringed so hard when I said that. So I'm really glad that you thought it was funny.
But yeah, it's hard, because you have to put yourself out there, and it's just not something that we're comfortable with.
Right.
it's like we know what the recharge time has to be afterwards, that it's scary to take those steps. But like Steph was talking about before, you stretch that muscle and it becomes more comfortable, and then you don't necessarily need that recharge time as much or whatever. And it does, I think the things that scare us the most, like you were talking about, Jay, with the original audio, you know that it does really well because it's authentic, but that also means that it has more eyeballs on you.
Yes.
And you're exposing yourself, like you're being a little bit more
Exactly.
vulnerable. So.
It's more your authentic self. Your boundaries are down, and all of that comes up.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's scary.
Wow, we're all just like, wow, this is so scary.
We go read a book.
Yeah, sometimes I just want to read a book, but I got to put out this content, and that means more eyes on me, which is not fun.
Not, but also it's that struggle too of it's your purpose. It does give you a recharge. The work that you do is massive to your energy. It's finding a way that complements you, like Steph has, where
Me?
Yeah, like you said, you're not doing videos anymore.
Oh yeah.
So
I was like, really? What am I doing?
That works.
What am I doing right?
You've done it right, Steph. Go on. As an introvert, you have found a way that works for you, that you can then be your authentic self while not feeling super exposed.
Yeah, true. I just word vomit all over threads and people like it.
There you go.
And they don't have to see me. I don't have to see them. They just follow. Everybody's good.
Everyone's happy.
Well, I mean, eventually they will still see us because we're going to get this camera.
Oh no! I'm putting a bag on my head when that happens. Nobody's seeing me.
Oh my goodness!
I'm kidding.
I mean that it could work where we do a podcast wearing masks. I mean it'd probably be on brand, but
Yeah, but then I wouldn't be able to read your lips. Which like for some reason, once you bring like visual in, I get more deaf if I can't see your lips.
Interesting.
That's very interesting.
It's so weird. Like if we're just on audio, I can hear you perfectly fine. The second video comes in, my brain shuts down if I can't see your mouth.
Oh, and I'm opposite. I need to see the person, otherwise I get bored.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be a problem for our podcast.
Yeah.
I'll put a bag on my head and I'll just cut little eye holes out.
It'll all work. It'll all work.
Exactly. All right. I guess that's a good. I guess before we let you go, we should tell people that if you like stuff, we've got good news for you. Oh, I should tell you what it is.
Yes.
You guys love stuff.
Yes. Say more, please. Go on.
She just went introverted right there. I'm done. Take a moment, recharge, come back. What's up?
And then from the top.
So what I was going to say. So what I was going to say is Steph and I are actually going to be coming out with our own podcast together, and we're just going to be shooting the shit about breaking out of systems and what else are we going to be talking about? Help me.
Finding yourself. There's just so much of owning your black sheepness.
Owning your black sheepness. So that's going to be a whole other dimension of me that you guys are going to get to know. And I'm scared and excited, nervous, but not really, because it's like one of my besties. And it's going to be so much fun. So that's going to be a whole nother layer peeled back. And so if you love this conversation, you love just like talking about like, you know, breaking out of all the ways that society sucks, that's your podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And going deeper into the way your mind works. In a way, we do lots of conversations about that.
Oh, yeah.
Unpacking.
A lot of unpacking.
Yeah, a lot of unpacking so you can break all the internal and external systems and really come out to be your authentic self and practical ways that you do that.
We're still working on the marketing.
We are.
Don't judge it based on whatever this was.
Do we have a name for the podcast?
We do. We think. We keep changing it though.
We keep changing it. And now, Jay, you said, what the Stephs? And I was like, oh, that's a really good one. What the Stephs?
We'll let you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned unpacking. It could be, you know, unpacking
I thought that
stuff.
Too. Unpacking with the stuff.
Yeah, or just unpacking stuff, which would work for both of you.
It would.
Mm-hmm.
A tale of two stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff in the city and the country. I don't know. There's so many. This is the problem. Oh no, we need to stop.
Right. We have to just stop. We've gone through this many times.
Step by step. Okay.
We'll figure it out. We'll overthink it. We'll overthink it all during Christmas and New Year's. So Steph, before we let you go, you have quite an interesting event coming up, which is so cool. The fact that you went from introverted and like not really having your own voice to like hosting an event. So before I butcher it, why don't you tell everybody what that event is all about and how they can find it and yeah.
Okay. Well, yes, it is very ironic that I am hosting my own event as an introvert. And it's because I was challenged to be on stage, to find a stage to be on. And for whatever reason, my own personal internal thing is, well, I don't know how to find a stage to be on, so I guess I'll just make one myself. And that's my introvertedness of like, I don't want to talk to anybody else. So,
I'd rather do it alone.
Yeah, I'll do it alone. Exactly, right? So I am now hosting an event with a whole bunch of other people. But I'm more in control, so maybe that's part of it. Teaching people basic skills. So giving people more confidence in their own abilities, learning how to grow your own food, learning how to cook from scratch, learning how to, start a fire outside, being able to go out into the woods and understand the plants that are there, because that gives people just a sense of safety and confidence in themselves where they can then just grow and blossom into whomever they are without society's constraints. So I am hosting that event, and I'm sure in the show notes there will be a link to it to register. Otherwise, you can hit me up on Instagram. That is spruce.acres.homestead, and the link will be there. And it is going to be happening live January 16th, 17th, and 18th. So come register for it. It's completely free. Come check it out and learn some really freaking awesome skills from a whole bunch of awesome experts.
Amazing. And that's in person or online?
It's online.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Available to everybody. Come. It's going to be such a blast. Such an absolute blast.
I'm so excited for you.
Yeah, same here. Well, what's that? Now, anything else? I'm sorry.
No.
It's like, no, we're done.
We're done.
The hour mark. We need to go recharge now.
It's recharging time. So that was a part of the show where we do the thing, where we tell you, the audience, to do the thing. So Steph in the city, tell them to do the thing.
So if you loved this episode, be sure to I always fuck this up. So
Like,
you would think
comment.
13 episodes in, I can't get it right. But you guys are both looking at me like, close your eyes.
My eyes are closed because I'm laughing so hard.
So go like it, rate it, review it, share it with a friend. It's available on all the platforms. See, this is what happens. This is why I hate video.
All right, we're gonna get you a script. And then we're gonna have you read the script. And we lost Steph. We lost Steph. We lost Steph.
So done.
We're done. Perfect ending. We lost. We lost.
She just left the building.
She just left the building. She's like, "Fuck it, I'm out."
Try this again next week.
See you. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. See you next week. I'm out. I'm over it. Oh my God, that is a perfect ending. It's a perfect ending. Oh wait, Steph's back. Steph's back. There we go.
Steph, we already closed out the podcast. Like
we already the episode's over.
Your phone died.
Your phone died. All right, folks.
Sure, that's the excuse.
Okay, well, I just got saved by my dead phone.
Oh my God, I'm crying because it was so hilarious. Okay, so on behalf of Steph and Steph, I am Jay Coleman. We thank you again for listening to all of this episode. We will catch you next time on the Stay Introverted Podcast. And as always, stay introverted. And we just lost Steph once again. So we are out. We will catch you next time. Peace.
Bye.